VPN at technophilespodcast.com. I'm David Geisler, and this is the Technophiles Podcast.
So the idea of an echo chamber is you surround yourself with certain types of people, and this is neither good or bad.
This week, David, Vee, Krista-Lee, and Jake talk about the surprising effect of a digital echo chamber. They also discuss robotic prosthetics that connect directly to your bones, muscles, and nerves, as well as the new self-driving car policy from the DOT and Osiris Rex's journey to the asteroid Bennu. Do birds of a feather really flock together? We'll find out because it's the Technophiles 307th episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode. I am here with the regular cast, Vee Laabs, Krista-Lee Malone, and Jake Gill. Everyone, how are you? Jake, how are you doing tonight? You're getting ready to go on a trip pretty soon, I think.
I am, so I'm stressed and tired, but I'm here.
Very busy man right now. And he's shooting the
chat.
newscast this week, girls.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It's a
Putting in
busy
the
week
work.
for him.
Yeah, whatever. It is. It'll be fun. All of it is fun, and I'm excited to be here, but I'm pretty tired and really ready for a little vacation.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to be, unfortunately, I think next week is going to be our first week where we have the video cameras back up and everything because the set is moving along.
Yeah.
And we're going to miss you, Jake. You're going to be gone for 3 weeks, I think.
Yep, I am.
So I'm getting a little creative. I might try to Skype a guest in, and I've been talking to some old cast members, seeing if they want to come in. And if not, it'll just be the three of us. Maybe Leslie will join us. I'm not sure.
Oh, fine.
So we'll deal, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
You will be missed, but it's pretty exciting. I think, is this the trip where you're going to Taiwan, or is that something else?
Yeah, going back to bike and see some friends and
Amazing.
do some camping.
Sounds
Find
great.
Myself. No.
So jealous.
It should be pretty sweet. I'm really just looking forward to stuffing my face for the first 2 days with like all of the food that I have not had in a very long time. Like I'm going to go to my breakfast spot and just see, no one knows I'm going. So I'm looking forward to dropping some jaws when I just show up randomly.
Is your wife going along with you, or are you just going all by yourself?
No, I'm going.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That is an adventure.
Yeah. Well, okay. To be fair, I am working there for a little while.
Got it.
I'm going to spend some time. So both of our developers are in China right now and Taiwan. So I'm going to be doing some work while I'm there. But yeah, I get a little bit of free time.
Cool.
I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be biking. So
That's amazing.
yeah, it should be fun.
Cool. All right, Krista-Lee, we're going to hold here for a second. Because Schrodinger is ripping the door down.
Oh dear.
Still rolling. I'll come back with the claps and I'll go to Krista.
Yeah, I heard that too.
No, that's his version of
I thought Leslie was coming home.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah,
Careful
I'm
if you
so
let,
jealous of you.
Careful if you let Murphy and his paws are a little muddy.
Like if it was practical,
Yeah,
I would
he's
just
probably
give you a
hella
list
muddy.
and be like, Jake, here's the things you need to bring back for me. I mean, I'd give you money, but it's all things like my beef noodle place.
Oh, shit,
Oh, yeah.
They're starting.
I can't send that
Right.
stuff.
You really
I
can't.
kind of get that
Although,
vibe too.
I don't know
Schrodinger,
how well
come on.
they travel, but you could bring back a box of like nice pineapple cakes.
True.
Oh, we'll see.
Not
I mean, that should
7-Eleven dry ones. I mean, like
No, I'd go to at least go to like Sherland Night Market for that stuff.
Come on, Schrodinger.
You join
No,
us,
I'll
dude?
bring some stuff home.
Yeah, come on
I
up,
don't
dude.
know what yet.
Check.
Come on up, Schrodinger.
Okay.
Look, we got you a microphone.
Come on, Shrod.
You can meow right in the lap.
Like that's the first thing I'm
Okay.
going to do when I have a full-time
Here it
job
comes.
is save to go back and visit Penn. That's it. First priority.
Yep.
Coming back in. That's awesome, Jake. I gotta say, that's cool. Krista-Lee, how are you doing? How was your week? We skipped our business meeting this
We
week
did.
because I don't know. I think I was busy. I was working on the newscast.
Yeah.
Working on the newscast, and then I don't know. How have you been?
Really busy, but really good.
Yeah.
A lot of great stuff happening with both my jobs. The kids have been great. I have such a great group of students this semester.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so engaged and
Minus
talking to me all
the
the
fact
time.
that they
and-
don't know who Elon Musk is.
Well, yes. Okay. Minus that fact. And, that's cool.
Did
but
we cover that on air?
Oh yes.
yes,
That was
yes,
just last
we
week.
did.
I
That
can't
was just
remember
last
if that
week.
was pre-show or yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, we actually
you
did
mean you
cover
can't
that.
remember if that was part of our private Patreon feed for all of our Patreon
Yes.
donators, or if it was on our regular show?
Correct. I couldn't recall.
People can find more information about our Patreon page at patreon.com/technophiles. Krista-Lee, back to you.
No, but you know what? And actually, that kind of plays in with it. I think the reason I like them so much is because I bring up stuff like that. They don't know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure they think I'm absolutely crazy, but they just sit back and let me go my crazy way. And I'm just like, that's
Cool.
Hopefully by the end of the semester, they'll join you in the craziness a little bit more.
Hopefully. Well, and actually, given my topics, there's actually going to be a couple of Technophile shows that I require them to listen to.
Yeah.
Tonight's, for example.
allow
You'll allow it.
That's like an inside joke. That's not even inside. It's like a joke. Now it's you next, Vee. You have to say it next sometime, next episode.
I know.
All right.
I'll bring it on.
So
a couple episodes. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah. All right, great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Ask me how I'm doing.
I'm a dork.
I know. Vee, how are you?
I'm doing good.
You have a good week?
Yeah, it's been a productive week for me. I've been working hard on Button Mash Bash stuff. Like that's really coming along. Our site's going to go live. It should have gone live a little while ago, but it's going to be up this weekend. We got a few guests confirmed.
Oh, great.
Yeah. One of them is a UFC fighter.
All right.
Yeah. Like,
Do you know that we have one of those fighters living across the street from us here at the studio?
no kidding.
Yeah, some guy that lives across the street. He's a fighter like that.
Is his name Eric?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh. It might be our guy.
Does his car have a whole bunch of bumper stickers on the back of it?
I don't know. I guess I'll find out when he comes to visit.
Too much information here.
Yeah.
That 99.9%
You're gonna really
of our
creep him
listeners.
out. He's gonna show up, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, dude, you're the guy with the bumper stickers." You went, "What?"
What?
Wait, you didn't listen to episode 307 of Technophiles podcast? All right, let's get into this here, guys. Tonight we are talking about Krista-Lee. We're going to do our stories. Oh, I know why this intro felt a little weird to me. I've been asking you guys how your week is with your quick stories lately. I kind of went back to the old format there by accident a little bit.
Oopsie doodle.
It's okay.
It's all right. We'll go down the line here. Krista-Lee, why don't you tell our audience what our big conversation is going to be about tonight?
So our big conversation tonight is going to be about the digital echo chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did dig up a little bit of pre-digital history on this phenomenon. So I'll give you brief non-digital history first.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask the entire cast this right now. We've gone through one cycle of this new format where a different cast member picks a main topic each episode and does a bit of research and kind of reports on it or brings it to the rest of the cast to have a conversation about it. How are you guys feeling about it? Are you feeling good about it?
I
Now
like
that
it.
everyone's done it once? Krista,
Yeah.
how was it for you? Was it stressful? Was it cool?
This would be my first time.
Yeah.
So I don't know yet.
Oh, you mean like, I just meant the research
She still
part,
has
I
to
guess.
deliver.
I guess I meant the
Oh,
research
the
part.
research?
Krista-Lee
Well,
loves research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like what I do.
Yeah, that's great.
David.
All right,
Like,
cool.
I publish articles and this is what I do.
I've been enjoying it.
Yeah,
as far as like the research, it hasn't taken too much time. It's nice. I'd much rather personally. I'm having like almost like a little business meeting here at the top of the show, but I'd much rather a production meeting spend 3 or 4 or 5 days once a month, like really digging into something, than
Yeah.
like every week spending a day being like, oh shoot, I gotta really know my stuff about one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This was like, I really, now that I've kind of figured out like what I need to do to get into it and like have a satisfactory amount of knowledge, I can just have fun with it now.
It's great.
Because I just dove in and just like filled my entire head with knowledge about iPhone stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and ideas
totally cool.
percolate too. So if you
Yeah.
started and you have this idea, like we have a month to kind of think and prepare about things. So you get like, oh yeah, maybe I want to talk about this, and then a few days later, it like slowly evolves and becomes this
Yeah.
larger thing. Which is
My
fun.
topic for next week has changed twice now in the last month. I thought I was going to talk about one thing and then about another, and then I kind of bounced back to something else. I'm still not 100% sure which one I'll choose because I've been kind of doing research on 2 different ideas now. But if our audience likes this, please tweet us at TechnophileSpod, or you can email us at technophilespodcast@gmail.com to let us know if you like this new format. I think we love it. I'm personally loving it. I think it's a really great way for us to talk about stuff. And so before we get into our big topics, what we have been doing since episode 304 is we've been doing a little bit of quick news off the top where the rest of the cast members do find something quick that they found interesting. And so I'll just kind of kick things off here tonight. It's technically my turn in the rotation. I think this is the first time going like first. But I found in a little article, full disclosure, this was going to be my second newscast video from last week, but we had some post-production problems with our exports, and I only got 1 episode completed. So I thought I'd talk about this second topic here. I feel a little disappointed that only 1 episode went out last week, but at the same time, I'm really excited about future newscasts. So let me go over to, there we go. I found a story, actually, this one kind of also was recommended to me by Leslie, I have to admit, who's been a guest on the show a couple times. And
she has some trends in her article topics.
they all tend to be medical
That's
tech and things
true.
like that.
I wonder
Which is
why
cool.
that is.
I think she's going to be one of the guests when you're gone too, Jake, which would be nice to
Yeah,
To have her
she's
hang out
great
again.
on the show.
So anyway, I found a single article, but I did a bunch of Googling and found a whole bunch of articles about this, about an arm not transplant, but a like a robot hand that connects to people.
Like a prosthesis?
Thank you. I was totally blanking. I was like prep. Just blanking a little bit.
Yeah.
Prosthesis that connects to someone who has a limb, in this case specifically arms, connects directly to their bones, not something that just kind of fits over the part of the arm that's already there.
Seriously?
We were just talking about another thing I thought was exciting about this is, Jake, we were talking a little bit about implants last week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And talking about like what happens when the tech goes bad on the implant. And the first thing I thought about was like, oh my gosh, someone literally getting a robot arm. I just say robot because it's a little bit more fun to say it that way. A robot arm installed into their bone structure via surgery, and then their skin cleaned up and closed up and everything. Like, that is a commitment. I don't think that's a negative thing. I think it's a great thing. You know what I mean? I feel like even if you have an arm,
Like, dude, that sounds like Barrett
it's crazy.
from Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
Like-
Yeah.
Gun arm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, right. Well, this isn't quite a gun arm, but it does have pretty interesting
Yet.
could be.
features.
David, yet.
Yeah.
It has the possibility.
Hey.
That's what the back alley surgeons are for.
I found out that prosthetics that go into bone, that's not totally new. There are other versions. There's like 400 amputees out there right now. I got some of this information from an article on mdtmag.com. And in that article, okay, never mind. Pardon me. It does not have an author. It is a general article.
All right.
Very good. Well, anyway, that article pointed out that there's about 400 people out there right now that have things grafted onto their bones and connected to their bones and things like that. But there's actually a new technology that a Max Oritz Catalan,
Ooh.
who lives in Sweden, designed. And what it does, it's really exciting, is that it allows you to control the hand by picking up electrical signals from the muscles in your arm, which also isn't totally new. That's kind of been around for a while. But what the final factor here is that, of course, it goes both ways. It also allows someone to feel the prosthetic arm has sensors on it, and it sends electrical signals back into the arm because it's connected permanently, essentially, and it connects to the nerves. And with a little bit of therapy, they can retrain those nerves, and people can feel with their prosthetic arm.
That is bonkers.
Which is really cool. And it's not just for fun reasons, it's for very, very practical reasons. A lot of the times when we pick something up, I have a glass of water here at the studio.
Yeah.
If I pick it up right now, I need to know how much to squeeze it. You know, picking up a raw egg is a perfect example.
Yeah.
And it's often used in robotics and stuff like that. If a robot can pick up an egg and not crack it, you know what I mean, is like a really good thing.
Yeah.
Picking up a cotton ball actually is kind of an interesting
Dexterity
idea.
and
No, that's actually a really good point, because I think a lot of people don't think about it because they do it automatically. When you talk about something like
Right.
a robotic arm,
It hasn't been doing it since birth or whatever.
right, exactly. And think about it. I mean, depending on how strong it is, you could hypothetically like pick up this glass and then crush it.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's often what would happen. You know,
Right,
sometimes
yeah.
what they do is they work in algorithms, so there's a little bit of force feedback. But this is really exciting because the human can use their arm, which is, again, the weight, the inertia, everything is, you know, part of their body mass at this point.
Yeah.
They can control the arm with their thoughts. Again, it takes a little bit of therapy, which kind of makes sense. It's almost like training an organic arm to come back to life a little bit after maybe some surgery or
Some,
maybe
like,
an
nerve
injury
damage
or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
little kids who don't know how to use their
It's
Their
right.
limbs at all,
Yeah.
and they have to learn.
That's why you know they wobble around for 2 years straight, falling down all over the place. You know, as an
The
adult.
best 2 years.
What's that?
I said the best 2 years.
Most hilarious years.
But that's just their brains going through millions and millions of computing cycles, if you want to put it that way, learning how to move their arm.
Yeah.
So this is really cool because apparently once it's happening, it's a very intuitive experience. And so anyway, I found an article called "The World's First Robotic Arm Directly Connects to Bone, Muscles, and Nerves."
That's so
And,
cool.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to point that out real quick. Thought it was kind of cool. I found this on mdtmag.com. Let's move along to, I think it's going to be Jake, because Jake, you have the newscast this week. And what are you going to be talking about on one of the episodes? Maybe Tuesday's episode, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So recently, Monday of this week, when we're recording right now, which would have been the 19th.
Yeah, we're recording on Wednesday for Saturday. Right.
Yeah. So the Department of Transportation in the U.S. kind of blew people's minds, I guess you could say.
I heard a little bit about this in
They
the pre-show.
issued comprehensive policy for self-driving cars, a 116-page document that's downloadable online. And basically the Fed is saying this is a reality. 10 years ago, this was a sci-fi fantasy, and they're thinking that in 2 to 4 years, a lot of cars on the road will be autonomous. AVs. So
the tech industry has been excited about this for a while. Google 4 or 5 years ago said 8 years it's going to be saturated. We're going to be doing it. Ford is saying they're going to have their car out there by 2021 right now. Like not out there in the world, like people using it being a product by 2021. That's the tech industry saying these things. This is coming. What I'm so excited about, I heard a little bit about this in the pre-show, Jake, which is what I was about to say, and I interrupted you. I apologize. Is that this is coming from the other side of the coin here. This is coming from other perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
The regulation side.
And the Department of Transportation and the government in general is kind of always, especially in the vehicle markets, like some of these things have just been unclear, and Highway Traffic Safety Administration and such other departments, they've been talking about automated vehicles, autonomous vehicles and things for quite some time, but there hasn't been anything comprehensive. Well, this is the first step in that path. And there's, quite honestly, there's a lot of unanswered questions that are in there, but they're thinking about these things. And I think we had talked about, I'm not going to be you, David, and remember exactly what episode we talked about some of these like regulations about things. Yeah. But the reality here is that the way the Fed sees this is a great way to save lives. And they're looking at this like from a safety perspective. Right. There's 38,000 traffic fatalities a year in the US, and 95% of those are human error.
Yep.
Right. And so this is going to help. And I'm going to get into a lot of this tomorrow. I want to do kind of a really comprehensive thing. But basically, they're looking at how these things, 15-point inspections, they're actually coming down and saying, look, we need these things from you guys, from all the automotive manufacturers, and you need to tell us like what you're doing to achieve safety ratings and how you're doing it and whatnot. They're also talking about federal and state regulations about how these cars all interact, which is very important, because if this was only state policy, then your car could behave, or another car in another state could be actually be programmed differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that the fact that this is federally regulated helps, and it's a big thing. So anyways, I'm going to get into a lot of this stuff tomorrow. It's a very interesting read. I found an article on Vox.com about it that was published today or yesterday, written by David Roberts.
Thank you.
And there's also actually... I'm just looking in my notes here I'm not going to be able to find it. But there was a really great piece that President Obama actually wrote, and in another article, it was published today as well. And I actually think there's a link to Obama's article in the Vox thing. But basically, he kind of opened up and talks about a lot of the same talking points, like the president's position on it, and why the White House is kind of like, look, this is the reality, and we need to be quick about it.
It's so great.
Even though there's a lot of unknowns, they're kind of saying, hey, you know what, we need to dive in anyways and figure this stuff out, because it's coming regardless.
And it's so cool, because I was setting up a mic or something. I heard you say something about the DOT getting excited about it and putting down some numbers about how many lives could be saved by having automatic or autonomous cars on the road. And I love that, because maybe I'm being naive here, and I'm very proud of the DOT, but like my assumption would be that they would, obviously the first thing they think is no, too dangerous. No, like don't mix it up. We get a little bit of that with drones and stuff like that from the FTA. They were really trying to regulate. It's a little bit more regulations than it is full on safety there. But a lot of times these organizations are kind of slow on the uptake. And you did say something in the pre-show about, there was a number, maybe you said it in the episode already here, I apologize. But the DOT specifically said, we're going to save X number of lives if we
there's 38,000 fatalities a year on U.S. roadways.
Okay, there it is.
95% are human error.
Oh, you did say that already.
Yeah.
Man alive.
And you know what? Actually, though, riffing off of that, previously, and I don't remember how many weeks ago, but we had discussed the first fatality that happened in a Tesla car that was using autopilot. And when that happened, the first fear I had is what you just said, is because of this, the DOT is going to come down hard, and that's going to set everything back. So I'm really happy that didn't happen.
No, that's not the pulse that I'm getting from it. Especially Obama's article. It's very optimistic about things. It's also like, he's realizing that this is industry changing. We talked about this with autonomous trucking, which is kind of separate from just on-road kind of public personal vehicles.
Yeah, that was episode 3 or 4.
But yeah. But they're also saying like, look, this is, I mean, it sounds very comprehensive. They're talking about like, we need training. We need to update our systems. You know, we need to create these different things. But like their safety inspections things, it goes down to, and again, I'm going to get into all the details tomorrow. So stay tuned on that stuff.
Yeah.
But like they go into cybersecurity as well. So I mean, this is
That's cool.
comprehensive.
Yeah, you'll be getting into it on the Technophiles newscast, which you can find on our YouTube page.
Gonna watch
Correct.
the heck out of that one.
That should post on Tuesday if all goes well. With our post production, I think it will.
I wonder
so
if-
excited.
Yeah, should be fun.
I'm very excited to hear about it too, and I can't help but think. So my newscast last week was about the Tesla 8.0 update, and it was that 8.0 update was almost a direct response. Let me put it this way: there were elements of that update that were a direct response to that Tesla crash, Krista-Lee. And I talked about it a little bit on the newscast. I know you guys haven't seen it yet, but this is kind of hard to talk about. But I want to make this point, and then we'll move on. It's sad and tragic that was a fatal accident with that Tesla smashing into the side of a truck. Essentially, I think they figured out that the car thought the truck was actually like an overhead sign is what they're thinking right now.
Yeah.
They being the investigators and Tesla and all that stuff. That's really sad. But this is something that I would imagine the DOT can be interested in. Again, this is a little hard to speak about right here, what I'm about to say, but like if software crashes into something and that software gets updated to make it less likely to make that crash again, that is a standardized unit that goes across all the cars.
Yes.
It's not like,
we
have
can
to
tell people not to text while driving, and they will still text while driving.
Yeah.
If we say,
They
this
will
car,
still drink while driving.
Yeah,
They will
they
still
said-
do dumb things because we cannot update our software
it's
as
scary
humans.
that a quote unquote robot crashed that Tesla car, and that the idea that person wasn't in control of that car. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. There's a whole investigation. I talk a little bit on the newscast.
Right.
They've put in special things now. Anyway, but the point is that those software updates, you don't have to educate another generation of people.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
immediate. And also
just
the
know.
DOT knows if X percentage of cars are running this software, they can expect a certain behavior that's standard with all of those cars. And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? Let's move on. All right. So V, what do you have?
So I have a story that actually happened a couple weeks ago, but I always like to talk about space and keep up with what NASA's up to. And just recently, September 9th, they launched their Osiris Rex mission.
Jake's got his NASA shirt on right now. He's sporting it.
Hey!
Rapping. Let's go NASA.
Very nice.
Nice. So in the last zillion weeks, it's just been SpaceX launching rockets and then promptly
Blowing
Blowing
them up.
up
exploding.
satellites. Mark
Like you
Zuckerberg.
do.
Yeah. But NASA actually just tossed something up there, and it's the
Successfully,
Osiris.
by the way.
Successfully, there was no incident.
This is, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but NASA's kind of used to doing this.
Yeah, they kind of got experience. This one actually is a mission that will be going out to an asteroid belt, or at least an asteroid,
Already cool.
and coming back to Earth
Mhm.
over the course of 8 years, 7 or 8 years. The Osiris Rex satellite rocket will be making its journey towards around our around our solar system, back around to Earth within 2 years to catch our gravity and shoot it flying towards an
That's so cool.
towards an asteroid by the name of Bennu.
Fantastic.
Which is a pretty large asteroid, and they're looking to get a nice sample of what the asteroid is made out of in order to figure out kind of what elements and components were involved in the creation of Earth and our solar system. Since asteroids are kind of like the debris from all that, this is some of the oldest pieces of
yeah.
planet
Right.
rock in our
Yeah,
solar
because a
system.
lot of times asteroids are the things that haven't crashed together and made planets yet. There's still little bits that are still out there on their own a lot of times.
It's going to be matching up with Bennu's orbit kind of every 6 years or so. Bennu and Earth kind of match their orbit around the sun.
Oh, okay.
Bennu is actually an asteroid that it was kind of speculated that it might be coming close enough to actually hit the Earth and cause some catastrophic damage. But scientists are like, it's not coming that close, though it's 200,000 miles from our planet, which is still...
That feels really
Yeah,
close.
It does seem really, really
Like
close.
in space terms.
Yeah.
That's
Really,
you feel
really-
each other's, wind when you run past each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
but
There's no wind in space.
There's a very, 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 very
That's a
small
bad
chance.
Metaphor.
Yeah, space wind.
Analogy.
Yeah.
I'm not on top of things.
Did I hear anything? No. Nope. There are waves of gravity, though.
Yeah.
Gravitational waves.
Those waves might be like, waving at each other.
That's good. But
So what are they going to bring back? Do they know what this thing is made up of, or no?
So they have some ideas, but they're gonna like have some tests. What they're gonna do is they're gonna have the satellite land on the asteroid, shoot some nitrogen gas at the planet, and kick up some dust and catch it.
Oh wow!
In their
That is
little
cool.
sample device, and then it's gonna like push off of the asteroid and orbit back and land back on Earth, or be collected back on Earth somehow.
That probably takes a lot of energy, which is why it's taking so long to get there. Hey?
It does. It's using just a lot of gravitational
fuel is
pull
not
and stuff.
Yeah, they're kind of slingshotting it out there, like
Yeah. And then just
Yeah, you can get it out
bouncing
there
it off
that
the
way, but
asteroid.
you need to get off the.
I know. How do you get it coming back at
But it probably doesn't have that much gravitational pull. So
the asteroid?
yeah,
Right.
Well,
Cool.
they're picking a good time to do it when it's 200,000 miles away, so it'll be easy to just kind of like push off and kick back to Earth.
A little celestial high five there.
Yeah,
Basically.
sweet.
poking that asteroid and going, haha, you won't hit us.
All right, we're gonna.
I mean,
go to-
taking your
I think
dust.
in 20 to 50 years we will have large asteroids in Earth's orbit, and people will be living on them, and we'll be getting ready to launch them to other places.
maybe.
Strapping some rockets, just
And
to
we'll
make sure
also
they don't hit
have
us.
all of the precious metals that we don't have on the Earth anymore coming from there.
We're grabbing them from asteroids.
We're gonna need to.
That's true.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to go to break now. I'll see you in 30 seconds. When we come back, Krista-Lee, what will we be talking about again?
We will be talking about
digital-
the digital echo chamber.
Yes,
The digital echo
indeed.
chamber.
And we might actually find out what that means.
It's not a literal thing. It's a figurative.
It's a mystery.
Hello.
Filter bubble, does that help?
I mean,
No?
I read
Okay.
your notes. I know
Oh,
what it
okay.
is.
We're doing a little act, a little bit here, I think. Oh, tell us more.
Yeah.
Cool.
After
Okay.
the break.
I'll see you guys in a little bit. Hey everybody, how's it going? David Geisler here, host of the Technophiles podcast, and I just wanted to take a few seconds to tell you about our new Patreon page. We're very excited about it. Of course, it's patreon.com/technophiles. We have a lot of different options. If you just want to give us $1 a month just to be awesome, or $2 or $5, we have a lot of different opportunities for people to contribute to the show. In fact, we have some things about people suggesting topics, or people actually writing into us, maybe doing some Google Hangouts. We've got a lot of cool stuff happening over there in our rewards section on our Patreon page, patreon.com/technophiles. We absolutely love our audience. It's really exciting every day to see people tuning in all over the globe to listen to the show. And if any are inclined to kind of become part of the team here and give us some support, we would be really humbled. That'd be really exciting. So I don't want to take any longer. I just wanted to tell you about it. We're very excited. And you can also find a little bit more information about it on our website, technophilespodcast.com. Thank you very much. Let's get back to the show. From TPN at technophilespodcast.com, I'm David Geisler, and this is the Technophiles Podcast. All right, we are back from the break. And there's a funny little bit there about Jake being a Star Wars hologram and Schrodinger trying to eat him or something, if I
That's
understood
my
correctly.
dream.
Yeah.
Well, mine is the eating part, but to be represented in hologram form,
Yeah.
like the Emperor.
Krista-Lee, you have a ton of notes here. I'm really excited to learn more about the term digital echo chamber.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. So I will start because, as Jake pointed out, I have at no point yet actually explained what an echo chamber is.
It's true, but let me ask you a question first. I've been asking everybody this first, or as soon as I remember to. What got you curious about talking about this tonight?
So this is actually something that has come up in my own research and talking about digital media and video games professionally.
Okay.
And it also, like, other academics are also looking at this. Like, I've gone to presentations at conferences where this has come up. I never brought it up on Technophiles before because I felt like it was pertinent. However, our old format was
Right. It was
just
too big of a topic for the old format.
Exactly. Just too big of a topic. So when we came into this format and then I saw like a couple more newer articles being published on this idea, I just thought, well, now is the time.
Yeah. Cool. Good enough for me. C is for cookie. Let's do it.
All right. So we'll start out simply. What I mean by echo chamber is this is a metaphor of think about an actual echoey place, right? If you go into a tunnel or whatever, it does echo because it's enclosed, and when you say something, right, the
Bounces
echo
back.
bounces back. So the idea of an echo chamber is you surround yourself with certain types of people, and this is neither good or bad, it's just a thing, right? And then a lot of times birds of a feather flock together, and so all of these people around you agree with you, and therefore in many ways will echo your own ideas back to you. Now this in and of itself is not strictly a digital phenomenon.
Sure.
You could do it like, for example, this room could be a mini echo chamber. All of us here like technology. Now, the reason...
No, I don't.
Except Jake.
No, I see what you're saying. Like, yeah.
But here's the thing. The phenomenon itself is like, that's all maybe a little bit obvious. But what you find is that then this often makes people believe that, oh, therefore everybody thinks this way.
Sure.
And how the digital aspect technology comes into this is there's a lot of fear, although there's really two sides to the story. But if you go onto, let's say, for example, a social media site, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, etc., they have algorithms running that try to determine what you want to see. Well, what you want to see are the things you already know about, right?
Yeah, right.
And so you get the same opinions, right? If you are really right-wing leaning politically or left-wing leaning politically, the news stories you come up are going to be in line with that worldview.
And I would say that's a little unfortunate, because when Twitter and Facebook and other companies had to start curating their feeds, so to speak, because I mean, there was a day 10 years ago where Twitter, it wasn't 5 million posts every second on your timeline.
Yeah.
And you could watch your timeline. You know what I mean? I used to like just push refresh and just watch a couple more tweets come in back 10 years ago or whatever it was.
Right.
And Facebook used to be like that. But when it started becoming so much posting and so much data coming in, these companies kind of in the wake of Netflix, the Netflix queue, started curating and trying to say, well, our algorithms tell us you want to see this more than this one. So the idea is that it's a good thing. But I can totally see your point here, Krista-Lee, about how it can distort and accidentally perhaps create a space where you're accidentally becoming closed-minded, not open-minded.
Right.
I don't really think it's all that accidental, though.
Really?
I mean...
Okay, so like if I just...
it's not always, but you can hide people. I mean, we have the ability now to be friends with people and never see what they have to say.
Yeah, that's true.
So the second that someone says a bad thing about whoever you like politically, I mean, there's really
it doesn't have to just be politics, but
the
green Lego, right?
You can.
I'm voting green Lego.
You can. I'm voting Giant Meteor 2016. Just ended already. You can unfollow. You can politely be their friend, and never see anything that they ever say. And you can do that with the click of a button.
All right. So,
and we're getting way ahead of you. I know.
Yes. No, and that's fine. So, and this is going to actually, that would be a good segue into a little bit of the history that I found.
Okay.
Because yes, it's in some ways not accidental. Some of it is, some of it isn't.
I think the phenomenon is accidental. Certainly companies like Twitter and Facebook, they were trying to do a good thing. They're trying to improve their service. And,
make people like their
guess
service
what you
more.
want to see.
Yes. I am in no way suggesting that any social media company sat down and said, how can we best create an echo chamber?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure that did not happen.
How can we warp a worldview?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Facebook, we had an episode like 3 seasons ago about Facebook doing a somewhat scandalous test on that, about making people happier and sadder. That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
But for the sake of this conversation.
Right.
Hey, at least
That's
they
not the
ran the
point.
test. You got to.
Well, that was their defense.
They're
And I don't want to
self-aware.
get into that because I want to keep you on track here, Krista-Lee. But
Let's
I think
go back 3 years.
what we've done is
Before that.
if I can find that episode, I'll tweet out whatever it was.
Okay, so
It was probably like
whoa.
134.
All right, so
If you're right, dude.
Oh my
It's gonna be the
gosh.
coolest thing in the world. Krista-Lee.
sorry.
it's fine. So interestingly, when I was trying to do a little bit of history, right, because everybody else is doing that for their articles, I could not find anything online. So I took advantage of the fact that I work at 2 wonderful colleges and literally emailed a philosopher and said, "Hey, can you help me?"
That's so dope.
And the history.
Oh man.
And he did. So I have this email, and this
Dude, that is like, that's not an email. That is like a blog post.
Wow.
right. Okay, so
Wow.
basically
Nice.
this
That's good.
It was
Forever.
not a one-liner.
No, it's not. This was great, actually, and there's 4 of them in here. So Dr. Stephen Miller is a visiting professor of philosophy at Ripon College.
Cool.
His office is down the hall, which is how I got the contact. Just like, hey,
Sweet.
dude, help me. Right. So he actually gave me a couple of things. One thing that he linked, and I did not have time to put this in the show notes, was an article about epistemic closure. And the article he gave me was from the New York Times, an article by Patricia Cohen. And this article is several years old now, but it does fit with the echo chamber idea because what epistemic closure is that instead of doing, you have an ideology, and instead of opening yourself up to new facts, you close off.
Sure.
And this particular article, interestingly, was talking. This article was political, and it was talking about conservative and right-wing media, and talking about how
Fox News.
yeah, she names Fox
Bless
News in the article,
sorry. Yeah.
so it's fine. And she's talking about how
I mean, Fox is famously political.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and what she was talking about is
I thought they were fair and balanced.
Is that part of their tagline? It can't be.
It
Yeah,
was.
it used to be.
Yeah.
It
It
is.
Or
legitimately
maybe it
was.
still is.
I don't
Wow.
keep up with
But-
Fox
Anyway.
News.
What this article was saying is that
Googling.
these news agencies, and she did not point out only Fox News, have stopped doing due diligence and fact checking because they're just going after ratings.
Yeah.
The way you go after ratings is telling people what they want to hear,
Right.
i.e., creating an echo chamber, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, I mean, this is a case where we're not even talking about social media.
Right.
Now, to go a little further back, again, still quoting from this lovely email from Dr. Miller. He also actually, man, this guy, he did so many quotes for me. I owe him dinner or
That's
something. here.
awesome.
So he went and looked up this work by Marshall McLuhan.
McLovin?
Yeah, seriously?
No, I'm not sure. No,
Not
there's an
McLovin.
H instead of a V. And
McLowan?
this
McLuhan?
dates back to, is that what it is? McLuhan? I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
So this work dates back to the 1960s. So we're talking nobody has internet yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
They have microfiche or something, right?
Something like
radio and
that.
television. and-
Somebody please
yeah.
curate my
You're right.
microfiche for me.
so this is from a book called Understanding Media, and
Our algorithm say you'd like this microphone. Okay, I'm done.
and Marshall says, let's just put it that way so you don't giggle. Radio comes to us ostensibly with person-to-person directness that is private and intimate. Well, in more urgent fact, is really a subliminal echo chamber of magic power to touch remote and forgotten chords.
Huh, yeah.
So this idea of maybe not digital echo chamber, but an echo chamber in mass media has obviously been around for quite some time.
Yeah. And it seems like it's being with the communication, with like the information age, it's multiplying exponentially.
Right.
Is what it seems.
Right. And there's many articles that talk about that as well. I will just say, and I should have expected this because again, Dr. Miller is a philosopher, but I also got this paragraph because I'm teaching Plato right now.
That's funny.
And then he started talking about
Four-legged dinosaurs. They're doing brontosaurs right now. It's a little hard to make. If it's going to smile or frown, you have to use a toothpick.
I'm gonna make spaghetti.
So Plato talks about this idea of
So
the
sorry.
noble lie, which is in which governments or powerful intentionally structure discourse. In other words, this is when somebody in power starts kind of throwing out the seeds of something that they want to happen later. And the example that I got in my email here was the seeding of the media about weapons of mass destruction
Mhm.
that eventually led up to everybody supporting the Iraq War.
Right.
And that actually was a great example because one, there were no weapons of mass destruction. There was never any evidence. However, everybody believed it because everybody kept saying it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what the echo chamber is. You literally hear something repeated so many times and from so many different sources that it must be true, right? Like that's what's happening. So
The movie Wag the Dog deals with that. That's very cool.
I
from,
really
like,
got
the
to see that
mid-90s.
movie. I remember the
that the
commercials,
fake
but I never
war?
saw it.
It's the fake war one. It's an okay movie. It's the guy who writes, I think Dave Mamet wrote it, actually. He wrote it as a movie, not as a play.
What did Dave Mamet do?
David Mamet's done a lot of stuff. He did, oh gosh, the one that like he wrote that monologue for Alec Baldwin. I don't want to get into it too
all
much.
right. No, don't worry.
He's
I'll
done a
Google
lot of
it.
stuff. He's a famous Chicago playwright. Anyway,
All right.
Okay. So bringing
State
it,
and Maine is one that he did. Sorry.
all right. So bringing it a little closer to, you know, the actual digital era here, I also found so something similar but different term that has been used sometimes was filter bubble, and most famously Eli Pariser has a book about this. It's called something filter bubble. Sorry, I forgot to write the title. And this is from actually Wikipedia about Pariser's book. It says a filter bubble is a result of a personalized search in which a website algorithm selectively guesses what information a user would like to see based on information about the user,
Sure.
such as location, past click behavior, and search history. Now, this brings it, of course, then beyond social media because this would apply to Google.
Right.
Which
There was a thing like you can do these experiments where if all four of us Googled the same word in Google right now, we'd get slightly different pages. And furthermore, if we did an experiment even further and we did it with 4 different people in different parts of the country, the pages would look totally different.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Well, and I'm sure other people have noticed this as well. But one thing I noticed is, for example, when I was still in the process of writing my dissertation, there were certain words or phrases that I was always Googling. And in the beginning, Jake just found the book. It's The Filter Bubble, How the New Personalized Web is Changing What We Read and How We Think. And this was by Eli Pariser, and
Cool.
it's from 2011. Thanks, Jake.
Awesome.
All right.
No problem. Little fact checker over there.
Nice.
Anyways.
4 stars on Amazon.
Check it out.
So like I noticed, obviously being an anthropologist, I'm putting some very uncommon terms into Google, right? But after a while, Google learned me, and
Whoa.
all of a sudden it starts realizing like, oh yeah, this weirdo actually wants this scholarly shit over here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like my own little like echo chamber, I guess, creating in Google.
Well, it's the algorithm, and that's the
Yeah.
easiest way for people to think about this too. Google certainly does it. It's very complicated, but like all you got to do is say Netflix queue, and people kind of know like how the way that you rate movies. Then it starts knowing based on how other people rate those movies, which ones you might want to see, and that's how it curates.
Starts
to
categorizing
you.
it. Starts
That's
finding
pretty-
the patterns.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Apple Music does it now. You know, other music places do it. Google takes it to another level, a level where you almost can't see behind the curtain. There's so
Yeah.
much going
Yeah.
on, and it's really, from a coding point of view, it's really exciting and impressive
Yeah.
that people have written these amazing algorithms that work, layers of these things that work off each other to give someone an improved experience using the product.
Yeah.
But it can be
I mean,
tricky.
it's improved to a certain extent because
Improved in the sense of like, did you find the thing you were looking for?
Yeah.
sure. Or
Right.
did you find the thing that spent the most money on SEO optimization?
So there is a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
So search engine optimization,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And
Did you say SEO optimization? Like ATM machine? You big jerk. I was joking.
Dude, but people do say ATM machine.
I know.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah, but yes, I did.
Machines.
No, I get it. And you're absolutely right. There's other ways to distort that. I'm not saying this is a perfect process, but it's just so tricky because this stuff starts off as trying to be something good.
Well, I think that, I mean, basically the only reason I bring that up is because although we might want to talk about search engines and things as being this way, there are there is an echo chamber happening, but there's also these outside influences of, you know, Google has its prerogative and their algorithm is,
Reflects that.
Right.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the things that I actually like about using Google versus social media when talking about this is that, think about it this way. Okay, so actually, for example, I did talk about this a little bit in class because we were talking about the nature of reality today. And I'm like, look, yes, if you surround yourself only with like-minded people, you have an echo chamber. And this is bad because then you don't get fresh ideas. However, when it comes to something like the Google algorithm, that may also be a echo chamber. However, when you're trying to do research for a paper, do you want to go through all the other irrelevant stuff?
That's what I'm talking about.
You want to have that narrowed down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is not the type of thing where you can say, yes, it's good, or no, it's horrible, right? It is a thing, and how we engage it may be good or bad.
Different purposes. Like either it's like stuff I want presented to me just as entertainment or whatever, or like I want to be informed about this.
Yeah.
Give me specifically what I need.
I mean, you search for green Legos 100 times and you search for red Legos one time, and the next time you type in Lego, you get pictures of green Legos. Like that's where it begins. And maybe they know, well, they mostly want green Legos when they're looking for green Legos.
Yeah.
We're helping. And to some degree, like when you're using it for research, Krista-Lee, you're absolutely right. That's really helpful, and that's what Google's trying to do. So I don't know if we're jumping ahead or not, but I'm just so curious at this point in the conversation, like how does it balance out?
Well, and that is actually a perfect question for the next point I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
That is a question being debated right now, is basically the answer. So I actually listed a couple of things here, and I used politics as an example because people are just very concerned about it because we're in a presidential election year. But I have a couple of things here, and I think the title alone makes the point. So there's this title of this book called Political Blogs and the Bloggers Who Blog Them. Is the Political Blogosphere an Echo Chamber? By Kevin Walston. It's from 2005.
Okay.
So it's not even a new concern.
It's like pre-social media, that post.
What, Facebook's from 99?
2005?
Yeah.
Facebook's from 99?
Yeah.
Okay.
Facebook started in like 99.
Cool.
Oh. I guess it was small.
I'm thinking maybe Twitter is like 10 or 11 years old right now.
Yeah, but blogging was kind of in its heyday in 05.
You know what? You're right.
Because that was kind of the medium. Like having a website was the thing to have.
You're right.
Right? You didn't have a Twitter handle or anything. So you're just writing a lot.
You're right.
And at that point still you still have all of the online media sources. Like all of the print media sources have an online presence.
And in 2005, the most social thing was the blogs happening at that time,
Yeah.
I guess.
It was Blogger and WordPress and whoever else was
And
competing
that's
in that space,
absolutely a sort of social media. I mean, Twitter itself gets described as a micro-blogging site.
When it was first pitched, they just said microblogging.
And think about it also, you still get these chambers, right? Because a lot of blogs, or maybe it's just the blogs I read, and this is my own echo chamber, but a lot of ones I see on the side, they will have a blog roll of other blogs that they read.
Yeah.
Which is generally other blogs they read because they agree with them or they get information, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there you have a little blogosphere echo chamber.
And that's not even an algorithm doing that. That's
That's
just
people,
them.
because people do it also.
Yeah.
Right. Not just the algorithms.
So this gentleman, what did he say? Maybe you said it already. I forgot.
Oh, actually, I didn't, because I felt like the title itself kind of pointed to the discussion that's being had.
Got it.
And part of, and not just this book, but there's actually many articles and blogs and other books on this topic. But there are a lot of people saying that the current political polarization in America is because of the digital echo chamber.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Yeah. I believe that.
Now,
I mean, you're gonna keep reading stuff that you actually agree with,
Right.
And you get more.
If the first
more
paragraph is something that you're like, that is disgustingly liberal,
Yeah.
like you're not gonna. I mean,
they're not
Right.
gonna read the rest
Or
of
one
it.
way or
know
another.
thy enemy, I think, is very important, but I don't think that enough people take that to heart.
And there's
I
another
agree.
thing that's changed a little bit. Just imagine, this is a light example. It's not, there's probably holes in it, but you imagine back in the day when we were kids and like reading through a newspaper, or even you could use a magazine or something. Maybe the magazine is specifically about video games or sports or cars or something like that. So in that way, it might be an echo chamber, but you might only care about the one game system. Let's use video games because sometimes that's like a little bit about,
Yeah.
People get very passionate about what
Yes.
systems
Yeah,
they play on.
it's a little.
Let's use that as an example.
It's not
Polarized there.
political.
And so, So if I'm reading about some Nintendo game, if I buy video game magazine, my 14-year-old David buys a video game magazine to read read about some new thing. Eventually, I go through that whole magazine. I'm probably reading articles about other systems too and other things because it's all there. And it's not, maybe I didn't read through it linearly, like not, page 1 to page 70 or whatever.
Yeah.
But eventually I kind of consumed the whole thing because it came to me as a chunk. Something that has completely changed with websites is you don't do that.
Yeah.
You read that one article and then basically there's links that are similar to that article below. There's not, I think we've lost a little bit of that kind of browsing thing that happens by accident.
Yeah.
Is the point I'm trying to make a little bit here.
Oh, yeah. And I even remember like with the first computer I had when I was first getting online, when there was just a little bit less of this, there were sometimes like that was my evening. I just browsed the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
And I came across all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of miss that.
And that's like,
Yeah.
don't you do that on YouTube now still?
No.
So YouTube's a whole
even
other
then,
thing. I'm at a point with my
little
YouTube
bit.
page where sometimes my recommended videos, I'm like, I get it. I don't need to see like another Super Mario 64 video.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me some new stuff.
Yeah, that
Sometimes with those
You
recommended
need to start
videos.
Get a little
searching for some new
cyclical.
things.
Well, apparently I do. And I think what's happening is I'm searching less and I'm just clicking through these YouTube holes.
Yeah.
I
Same.
call them YouTube holes or like Leslie would call it a Facebook hole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. YouTube doesn't know me at all. And I think the reason why is because I will find videos via Facebook or Twitter, click to that one specific video. I'm not searching in YouTube. On the rare occasion
Are
when
you
I go,
signed in on YouTube?
yeah, I leave myself like auto signed in all
Right.
the time on my computer.
So it should know you.
Mhm.
Should still be able to recommend videos for you.
You would think, but then they have a really bad algorithm because YouTube like recommends things to me that I don't even understand why they would bring that up. Like a lot of pop culture stuff comes up, and I'm like, this is not video games or geek. I don't know why you're showing me the Kardashians.
that might
Oh,
just
that's
Never
weird.
clicked on.
that might just be YouTube trying to shove like their things, their preferences
So-
in.
And that could be.
But, but that brings
There's
us to a
always
point.
that.
We have to go to break here in a minute. But Vee, I'm happy you brought that up
Yeah.
because if I may, I was hoping that like sometimes you need that wild card. You need to throw in things that are the opposite of what someone wants into that
Yeah.
algorithm to keep it stirred up. To you know what I mean? And I don't know how much that happens. Let's go to break right now. We're going to come back and continue talking about this idea. And Krista-Lee, I was about to have you tease what happens after the break, but let's just keep talking about this.
Okay.
Right? We'll go away for 10 or 15 seconds, and we'll see you on the other side of the music bump.
Yeah.
From TPN at Technophilespodcast.com, I'm David Geisler, and this is the Technophiles Podcast. All right, we are back from the break. I'm here with Vee Laabs, Krista-Lee Malone, Jake, Gill, and we are talking about the digital echo chamber. Let's just keep going here.
All right. Yeah. Well, actually, I only had one more point to really make about the conversation we just had before break, and then we can maybe move on to some of the stuff I have about Google. But I think there was this quote on NPR by Gene Demby, and it was just so perfect for the problem with the echo chamber, especially in terms of politics. So I really want to share it. And he's specifically talking about social justice issues. And he says, quote, "When you see poll numbers about the vast space between the way people of color feel about policing or any number of issues around equality and where white people stand on those issues, it can be explained in part by the fact that we're not having the same conversations."
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it, that idea of the conversation, because you have these things that you think are true and that are even common sense. One of the things I love to go after my students about is the idea that common sense is neither common nor sensical. Thank you, Michael Hertzfeld. I heard him say that somewhere. And yeah, that's true, because it's only common sense within a particular group of people that are all culturally the same.
Mhm.
But there are billions of people and they are not all culturally the same.
Yeah.
And so they have very different ideas on what is both common and sensical because they have different conversations.
Right.
Well, and some studies will suggest that even, I don't have research to back this up.
Sure.
But I
okay.
was reading something, and I mean, from personal experience, when you learn another language, you actually start creating different things, and you can have different cultural thoughts.
Yeah, so there
Oh,
is
interesting.
there is research to back this up. I can't think of anything right now off the top of my head because I was unprepared, but because I talk about that in my dissertation because I was working on that game that taught English to Taiwanese students.
Yeah.
So there is, in fact, research to back up what you just said, even though I can't name any of it.
Is it like you begin having just different experiences when you're learning the language, or like the language itself is what? Like
I would guess it's all the way from the way the language itself is subtly structured to the context of the language,
to who you communicate to.
It's all of those things. So
Yeah.
like on a very basic level, if you look at, there's certain things that we have words for and there's certain things we don't have words for. And that affects the way you think about the thing because you have to learn these slightly different definitions.
That's right. Yeah.
I think a famous example, and I'm going to say famous only because in America, a lot of people study Romance languages, is how many words for love there are in the Romance languages versus English where it's just love. When you start learning these languages and you want to talk about love, all of a sudden you have to start consciously thinking about the different definitions because in those cultures, those are different words.
Yeah.
I see.
And that will change your view on what you think about love or any of the other myriad words where you have the same thing. Also, you learn another language. They might not have a word for something we have a word for. So now again, all of a sudden you have to think about it differently. How do you express this idea when you don't have the word? Makes you think about things in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Now you add on that you're talking to different people about different things. You're having new experiences. All of these things affect who you are and the way you view the world. I am geeking out so bad.
No,
right
that's
now.
I'm absorbing it all and I love it.
So I did do a little Googling and I'm not finding a bunch of research. I don't want to get into that, but there's a Czech proverb, learn a new language and get a new soul.
Ooh.
And there's kind of this article in here about Jacques, a 12-year-old. And just like, here's the quote here. They're learning a bunch of different languages, whatever. It says, so this is Jacques, I felt probably ruder and more aggressive in Greek, clearer and concise in French, and creative and long-winded in English. You don't really feel the difference while you're doing it, but once you reflect on it, like it's there.
Oh.
And so it's kind of one of these things where now to bring it back to what you were talking about, Krista-Lee, but I'm thinking like, in this political, we're blaming blogs and things like this, but like you can create then echo chambers.
Yes, you absolutely can.
And whether they're for malice or not.
Jake, what are you talking about?
I mean,
who's you in that example?
Whoever wants to.
A person?
A medium, an organization, to go back to politics for a moment.
Seed planting and stuff like
Fox.
That? Yeah, right.
There's a lot of research that's done on that. And I mean, I've also read some things that like people are dumber after only consuming Fox media.
Yeah.
Well, and
I don't want to get into that right now, but like,
well, here,
if you're not challenging
let's think about it this way. Our
bit.
news media right now, we're to bring this to a kind of very American thing that's going
we're
on.
talking about traditional news media, not social media now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's on social media too, but like we have American citizens that are up in arms over Colin Kaepernick, a quarterback, taking a knee during a national anthem.
Yeah.
What we didn't see very much on the media was that like thousands upon thousands of American Indians were protesting a pipeline that shouldn't have been built at all, or I don't know, any of the other whatever. I mean, insert anything here, right? The echo is whatever someone starts talking about it and ranting about it, and then everyone starts talking about it, and we are talking about the Kardashians because that's on the media.
Right.
People care about someone posting something on Instagram rather than like a real issue that might be happening.
Yeah.
But then another circle, it doesn't care about that at all because they've hidden all of that. And so they're like, oh yeah, we're really into all of this stuff. And how do you not know about it? And
it's interesting talking about that too. I don't disagree with you at all. I agree with you. And then there's other ways where like social media can destroy that too by like letting so many people talk about the pipeline or something like that. Like my question is in that example, I know it was just kind of a quick, loose example, but so like where does the pipeline news get expressed then? Does it get expressed in social media if the main media is not taking it?
That's almost exclusively where I've been reading about it.
And that's where you've been reading about it.
Yeah.
Now this is also in a space that is also curated by algorithms. So like how did you, I ask without really having an answer, how did you get that article, Vee?
Well, it's, either through, I've been reading about it through Tumblr, through Twitter, and that's all just like people reblogging people, retweeting people, just like passing it on. It's not quite an algorithm. Though I guess it's kind of like a social.
Were you
algorithm.
initially curious about it and you did a search for it, or did it pop into some feed somewhere?
It just popped up into my feed, and
do you know which feed? Like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr?
Tumblr, I think, is the first place
I think
read
Tumblr's
about
the
it.
least curated too, by the way.
Like automatically,
I think it is just a normal feed, isn't it?
It is. Well, yeah.
it's whoever
other
you
than
follow, right?
other than social.
Your wall.
So,
your
but you
feed
are
is-
curating.
You are
that.
curious.
By
Yeah,
following
you
those people.
socially.
So like your
curated
echo
it.
is at least someone who has an
True.
opinion on something
I
other than
I follow
that's
somebody
true.
because I
the
like what they
national anthem
post.
or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they
that's
follow
true.
someone because
But-
they like who they post, and so on and so forth.
But here's the other thing with the pipeline. A lot of times, unfortunately, people will not realize the echo chamber effect. So interestingly, I also had a lot of stuff on my Facebook feed about the pipeline, like a lot. Now, I also have a handful of Native American scholars. I also follow some like environmentalists, etc. Like I follow a number of people that it makes sense.
Yeah.
But then interestingly,
You follow them on Facebook, or you friend
or
them?
friends with them.
You
Sorry,
follow their pages, or you're friends with them?
I'm
Because there's a difference. The algorithm computes that stuff differently.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
I'm actually friends with them on Facebook. I don't.
Thank you very much. I
don't-
wasn't trying to correct you. I was trying to know.
No, sometimes I mix up. I follow people on Twitter and
Oh,
I'm
it's-
friends with
People.
people
Yeah,
on
but you
Facebook.
can
I know.
follow
It's-
people on Facebook as well.
Right.
Correct.
I don't, but that's a whole nother algorithm
layers
thing.
there.
And that
Anyways,
does change how the
so
algorithm works,
I have friends who I'm
Got it.
friends with on
That's
Facebook
cool.
who are doing these things. But here's the thing. So after seeing pipeline stuff for a couple of days, I then came across a post by a friend of mine saying, "Oh my God, I just heard about the pipeline. Why isn't anybody talking about it?"
So yeah.
And of course, in my perception, everybody
Everybody's
was
been talking
talking
Let me
about
offer
it.
this. Let me offer this just to be 100% honest. I've been on Facebook and Twitter plenty of times these last 2 or 3 days. This is the first time I've heard about a pipeline at all is in this episode right now.
Really?
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And I wasn't not communicating with the world. You know what I mean?
You must
Yeah.
not be stalking my Facebook page because I've posted a couple of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or for some reason your page didn't get thrown into my curated wall or
Algorithm.
something.
Right, yeah, because you won't get
Algorithm.
everything a
Right.
friend
No, I will
posts.
see like
Right.
when Krista-Lee, you post a photo or something, Facebook makes sure to, maybe because I always like photos and maybe I don't like as many posts or something. It could be, who knows?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I feel kind of bad about that. I don't want to be left out.
No, it's okay. Well, this is another form
But,
of
like, we're
media. Now
going
you're
to be
hearing
left
about
out.
it.
Yeah.
This is the
Things.
point. We're making the point right now.
There are, I mean, it's
You are
like
never-
we're self-selecting. I mean, even the friends we follow, it will. I mean,
Mhm.
you know,
Right. You
we're
can
not going to hear about everything.
you
It's
cannot
impossible.
not be in an echo chamber.
Mhm.
All right.
Correct. You're right. Okay.
If you want to blame social media, which some people do, if you want to blame algorithms like some people do, you can. There is some evidence to show that
It's
media
just happening faster. Right?
I think it's just
Right.
amplified.
Yeah.
I think it's just
amplifying
amplifying
it,
the
whatever.
Mhm.
But yes, because none of us are gods and we are physically incapable of hearing every point of view to
Sure.
some extent, you have some sort of echo chamber.
Mhm.
Personally,
yeah.
I think just being aware of that itself is very helpful
signal. Right.
because yes, I might say, everybody's talking about the pipeline, but then be conscious of the fact that not everybody does.
Yeah.
Then
And what's really interesting to me is this pipeline story sounds interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm shocked I haven't. I don't know.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
There's a lot of things.
So I think one of the ways that the echo chamber is diluted in the real world, or at
Mhm.
least when you're organically interfacing with people in the same room, is I can think of like a lot of times when I was in college, I went to film school, but there was still plenty of philosophizing and debate and of whatnot, existence and which cameras are better and worse, everything
Yeah.
from simple stuff to
Sure.
complicated stuff. And that happens because you're around 20 or 30 kids every couple hours every day, and you're in these, I wasn't really in dorms per se, but you're still
Sure.
this, and even if David in college 10, 15 years ago had one idea about something, I was hearing maybe two people that agreed, two people that I totally didn't agree with, and they said
Mhm.
something different, or someone that said something different and I was intrigued. Like that's kind of what happens when you're, so now let's say I was in like some kind of club that only liked a certain kind of camera, an in real life club, not like a social media club. You know what I mean? We only got together and talked about how much we loved model trains or whatever, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden the whole world is just model trains. And that's, and then there's also kind of the expertise echo chamber where obviously, doctors and nurses you go to a party with a bunch of nurses and you don't know what's going on. You know what
Personal
I mean?
experience.
And I respect it very
Dude,
much.
I
And
can trick
Sure.
doctors for like 5 minutes, and then I'm like, I legit have no idea what I'm talking about anymore.
so Jake,
you
Jake's
can
wife is a
only
doctor.
smile and nod for so long.
And so some of that's just part of that as well.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about my statement just now, Krista-Lee, about like, I think with the organic thing from 10, 15 years ago, like that is one way to dilute an echo chamber.
Right. So, and that's actually a great example and part of that has to do with choice, right? So now let's say you just going with the school example, right? So let's say you're going to a class. Let's bring it down to one class.
Okay.
You cannot choose who your classmates are.
Right.
Nope.
Now, you could choose to drop the class or take the class, but let's just say this is required for your major.
For example, I was
There's
in
no background.
You
specific.
chose the major.
Well, that's true. I'm not saying there's
But
no
here's an
choice.
example. I was
And you
in a
also chose the
film-
You
school.
probably chose the college.
I was in
Right.
a film
You need
critique
prerequisite.
class at a film school where everybody wanted to go make films, and the amount of people that disagreed about things was enormous.
Right. And you couldn't defriend them.
Because we're all in that room together for like
Right.
3
On
hours. or whatever.
Facebook,
do
when
that.
somebody says something that you disagree with, you have the option to defriend them.
Yeah.
Now, yes, you're right. You still chose that school. You chose that class. You chose that major. There are.
I mean, it's not like
But-
it was film students mixed in with football people or something like
Right.
that. You
Yeah.
know?
But I don't think that Krista-Lee is saying that dissension and argument is necessarily not going to happen in an echo chamber. But I think that you're still, if you disagree with these people, if you're in this class, you're probably going to agree that, like, I don't know, some Seven Samurai is a great film, or you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
there will
Like,
be-
you're still all talking about film is what you're
If you had enough
saying.
layers and enough things,
Yeah.
then all of you would be actually way more similar than you thought you were.
Yeah.
So you take that room. I just made the joke about football fans and film fans. You take those 20 or 30 kids from that film class that inside the class are disagreeing or agreeing and all that. You throw them into a sports bar with 20 or 30 football fans, or not even a sports bar. It could just be another class,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, boom! Now all those film students are in their own. They're all on the same
friends.
side, or they're all
Right.
friends, right?
Yeah.
But-
okay, so like, where does this end?
I don't
How does
think
this?
It doesn't end.
So how do we end this conversation?
So I have actually.
Because I mean, we've got 5 minutes.
Well, I have a.
Okay.
to get somewhere.
Okay.
So I have one thing, Krista-Lee, that I want your thoughts on. Do you think that we're talking about digital stuff here, but do you think that this bleeds over into the physical real world in the sense that if I start disagreeing with someone, if I'm at a party that I don't like them, like I just
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
You change the subject.
No,
or
you just don't talk to them
walk
anymore.
into
Or
a
you just
coffee
don't talk
shop
to them,
now,
yeah.
and everyone is in their echo chamber because they're
Yep.
not engaged with anyone anymore.
Yes. Yes.
You are actually only engaging with the people you want to because you're just picking up your phone. And rather than talk to some random stranger who might disagree with you or argue with you or just have an opinion that you've never heard before, you're like FaceTiming your best friend about the show that you watched last
I
night.
tend to talk to strangers when I'm in social places, probably talk a little too much. And I've had friends and even past relationships or whatever that are like, what are you doing? Why are you talking to these people? I'm just trying to have like a human react,
Have a moment,
exchange, right?
you know?
So
And the barista now knows my life story.
Right. Well, okay. So this may or may not be helpful. And if we only have 5 minutes, I don't want to take the time to look it up. But if you go back to my Facebook feed from only like 1 or 2 days ago, I actually posted a video. It was a TED video by some woman who I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. And it's about how to talk to people who disagree with you.
Interesting.
And the video, which I watched in total, and I'll very briefly sum up, is just the whole video is about how to calm down and ask the correct questions. So instead of devolving into ad hominem attacks, which happens all the time,
Yeah.
instead you can actually take the time to understand where the other person is coming
That's
from.
the key.
And I think that would be one of the keys, if people could do this, to kind of opening the echo chamber a little bit. It wouldn't work for everybody, and not everybody wants their echo chamber broken.
How about this? If you're someone who's listening to this episode right now and you're going, oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. My Facebook feed is really curated. Or any of us, as we leave this recording session tonight, if we are interested in trying to make sure that if we're interested in diluting our echo chamber a little bit, so to speak, what are your thoughts on that? Are there strategies that we can do?
Well, okay, let me just throw this out as like one kind of last example. I've obviously been aware of this for a long time. So one thing that I will do is I will not defriend anyone on Facebook. I won't do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they say. Now, I also have not, for example, received, say, death threats. I'm not saying there's no line at which point I would
see.
not.
Some
Yeah,
there's
But
Are you like friend everybody? Do you have them in your feed?
so everyone is in my feed. I don't hide feeds
Well, you're
either.
Insane.
However, I will not I will not accept like random friend requests from people I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like there has to be some reason. Either I met you in person or if somebody says to me like, "Hey, I read your article and I thought it was really interesting. Can we talk?" And they tell me like, "Oh yeah, because I'm a grad student and blah, blah, blah." I'll friend them. Like if there's some reason for us to be friends, but
Sure.
if you send me a friend request and you don't even send me a message telling me who you are, then I don't.
Yeah.
I think that's normal. Yeah.
But yeah, like and this has become a thing because there has been a couple political blowups on my feed and I have had friends ask me, "Why are you friends with that person?" And
Weird.
I
I've
said,
never had that.
yes, this has happened. And I've said to them,
That's
I
almost-
said,
That's sad that the friend says that to you.
a little bit. Well, I've gotten some real nasty stuff
Like
on my
people
Facebook
will
feed.
start their Facebook post with like, "If you don't like this, unfriend me." Like I don't care. It's self-selection in that way.
Yes. And there are things I have found that are extremely offensive, and I still have not defriended the people because even if I find it offensive, I just feel like I intentionally don't want an echo chamber.
Because that's close to a real life that's like close to a real life situation for you. If that person were to be speaking those things at a party, so to speak, you can't make them not exist.
Right. Well, I mean, that's part
Or
of it.
can
And
you?
also when I
Well, you can ignore
the thing is when I see something that offensive, my first reaction, and take this for what it's worth, I am a teacher, I am a lecturer, is I want to sit down and explain to them why they're being an asshole.
Okay.
Krista-Lee's
on a roll tonight.
Sorry, I am so sorry.
No, you're being real right now.
I'm getting
I
so
appreciate
passionate,
that.
right? Because like I
But
don't.
what if you're the one that's wrong?
So hopefully,
Can there be a right and wrong in an objective sense for this stuff?
so my hope, and I have had conversations like this, is that if I am wrong, that I am talking to somebody who's smart enough who can back it up and tell me why. And if somebody offers me evidence, I will change my mind.
Yeah.
The big problem is usually people don't offer me evidence. They usually just say, "You're being dumb."
Or it's just one of those things where you can actually both have differing opinions.
Right. And then those are the people I especially don't want to defriend because, okay, I have this evidence, they have this evidence. And I'm like, I do respect your opinion. I don't agree, but I like having that outside view.
Yeah. And test what you know.
So that could be a thing. That's like, I'm sure there's many strategies. This is just my personal strategy of trying not to have an echo chamber, but
But you're
It's a
like
thing.
also hyper aware and very highly educated, which would suggest that not everyone can do this.
possibly that's true. That's
know.
possibly
People
why
can
I
try.
sometimes get defriended.
I mean, I don't I don't know. I don't,
even though
because
I want
even
to-
Facebook does give you the option of like, do you want it to be essentially curated or do you want it to be the straight feed?
Mhm.
Twitter, I think, has a version of that as well. I tend to bounce around a little bit in the middle. It's a tough call. I don't know if there's like, this is one of those topics where there isn't an answer at the end.
No,
right now.
there's
No,
not.
I don't think there should be.
Okay.
No, you're right. There's not. This
Cool.
is, it's just
It's
it's
interesting.
I think it's a phenomenon. I think it's important to be aware of
Yes.
because of all of these reasons. But
Absolutely.
there's experts in this that are still debating. So
Yeah.
I have a few things that I actually think were interesting because you had mentioned last week that you were talking about this on episode 306.
Yep. Excellent. He's so proud
I
of
can
himself
go.
right now.
I can go one back.
He's so proud of himself.
No, but okay. So last week I knew this was happening, and then this weekend I was at a baby shower. So two things out of this. One, it seems like everyone has kids now, which I think is like confirmation bias, which sounds actually a lot like the digital echo chamber sometimes.
Yep.
You
Yes.
know, like it seems like we just bought a new car and everyone on the road has this car. Obviously
Yeah.
that's not true, but
Right.
you
You
are
just
just keenly
recognize
aware
it.
of them.
You become
Yes.
more tuned to see. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
So there's this like I have it or I want it, so now that's all I see.
Sure.
So that happens. But like so we have these Technophiles and we talk about Twitter and we talk about Facebook and these things. And so I was hanging out and some teenagers were there and they were, you know, friends of some adults that and so grew up with this. It was a birthday party for a 1-year-old. Anyway, long story short, we're talking and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, Twitter, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And they look at me and they're like,
who uses that?
Jake, no one in high school uses Facebook or Twitter and I'm like, we have our own echo chamber. Like I'm just assuming that all of these people, you know, all these people that I talk to are on this medium and they're like, oh, dude, we Snapchat everything.
Yeah.
Like,
It's all Snapchat.
They've moved on.
The kids are all about
Chat,
the Snapchat.
They moved on.
And we Instagram. But you can only post on Instagram once a day and it's just like, it's insane.
Oh, they've created their own little rules.
There are rules or whatever, but just to them, you know, like it's not even an echo chamber necessarily. Well, maybe, I mean, it is maybe in some form, but like, here we are assuming that and I don't know, you know, David, you probably know our analytics better than us, but I'm assuming that like everyone that we're talking to right now has Facebook and Twitter and they use this regularly. And like if they're younger, okay, maybe they don't even know what a podcast is.
I invite all of our
dinosaurs.
I invite all of our young listeners to listen to us, but we know that our analytics show us that our demographic is pretty close to the demographic that we are in. Like
the
like
real
the
demographic.
late 20s, early 30s is really what I'm saying. I'm very proud to say this. We have a very good balanced, almost 50-50 male-female, which is really cool.
I was just wondering about that the other day.
A lot of
I
times.
wonder why that is.
Hey.
Well, right, exactly. Your show, you know, your show reflects your audience or the other way around.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to have that happen. We got to get out of here though, guys.
Can I just say one, dude, I'm like hijacking part of your episode,
Okay.
but so there's a book that people might have read or you guys, and have you guys familiar with China Miéville, the author?
I am
Yeah,
not.
It's like,
I am.
he has a book called City and the City, and it takes place. It is a city, and the citizens in the city it is a violation of their own citizen rights, where they cannot perceive the other people that are populating the city, even if they're like a foot away from them.
Oh.
Clothing, everything is so drastically different that these people have adapted.
It's fiction?
It's fiction.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, he's talking about real things here. But
Right.
these citizens have adapted in such a way that walking down the street, like if we just think cold Republican Democrat here, if we
Okay.
want to get back into politics for a second, you could be walking down the street and you walk by a Republican and you do not notice them anymore because they are Republican, and you only
If
see
you are a
Democrats.
Democrat.
Yeah.
And
Right.
if you're the other way
In
around,
this example.
so these cities are existing in the exact same place,
Sure.
and yet these people are not aware of each other.
It's like polarized light. You know, you look at, you know, as long as
It's
it's
like
in one.
the ultimate
polarized.
It's the ultimate Google Glass
Yeah, a little bit.
of like, I don't agree with you politically. I don't see you anymore.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it's real. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, that book had been recommended for sci-fi science, and there's only X amount of books I can read in 1 year.
Maybe
so
next
it just
season.
didn't make this year, but maybe next season.
Yeah.
Let me just leave on one closing note.
Please.
Just because this will also be a episode drop. So in episode 255, when I think I brought the story about Memics, which was that search engine.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Talking about how, you know, Google only shows you what's at the tip of the iceberg, which they do on purpose because of SEO and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So that episode actually would be a great, background to what we're talking about here.
If you want to go back and check it out, I'll put a
Yeah.
button on the
Yes.
YouTube page right now.
Yes.
But if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher, episode 255.
Yes,
Still in our feed.
255, because that was talking about how we see this little bit of the internet, i.e. our echo chamber. However, that is just the tip of the iceberg, and there's so much underneath. And then Memics, of course, is trying to basically catalog all of it so that we can see more outside of our echo chamber.
Yeah. There is like a dogfight going on outside
I
right now.
hear
don't know what's
that.
going on.
Yeah.
A little strange. But anyway, Krista-Lee, if people want to tweet you about this or Snapchat you, they can.
Do you have Snapchat?
I do have Snapchat.
They can snap their thoughts to you.
I'm kind of scared to give my
don't.
Snapchat
Just
out
Twitter's
public.
good for now.
My Twitter is @GamerAnthro, and if you contact me there first, I will consider giving you my Snapchat.
And hashtag Technophiles 307. Technophiles 307 is what we'll use for this episode for obvious reasons. Let's see, V, if people want to chat with you a little bit about sending rockets to asteroids and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, V, I'm going to be tweeting you.
Yeah.
use the
Tweet me
hashtag
about
Technophiles
it. Let's
307.
chat about
I'll hit
it.
And
you
find you on
Yes.
Twitter at
They can find me at bear_Annika. Let's talk
Marvelous.
asteroids.
Veronica.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And Jake, I'm like so distracted right now with the bark, and I apologize. Jake, where can people find you about stuff? and
Apparently, this episode, I have an opinion about everything. So yeah, you can just hit me up on Twitter at Critical Owl.
Critical Owl.
I don't have a snap. Well, maybe I'm not going to check my Snapchat.
If they follow your Twitter feed, they'll find some sweet photos from Taiwan in the next couple weeks or something.
They might, as long as I can get internet access.
Oh, fair enough.
And it's not America, so I can. Yeah, it's like free everywhere.
Right.
Let's see. People can always tweet the show at Technophiles Pod or find us on Google, or not Google. Well, of course you can find us on Google by doing this, but also YouTube, Facebook, and iTunes by searching Technophiles Podcast. Go to our actual website, technophilespodcast.com. And please, if you are so inclined, check us out on Patreon. We have a completely brand new infant Patreon account running right now, and there's a lot of opportunities there to support the show in a lot of different ways.
Help it grow.
And you can find us at patreon.com/technophiles. There's also a link right on the top of our website to go over to Patreon if you want. We would be your best friends forever if you want to contribute anything to the show.
We should think about adding
dollar bills or otherwise.
Yeah, we should think about adding friendship bracelets as a reward.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
There's an option for like getting addresses so you can mail things out. We might have to go that route.
Yeah.
But we also have, in the future, we're going to be having private behind-the-scenes feeds on our Patreon page that will be given to patrons and stuff like that. I'm very excited about the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're coming back next week. Jake will be gone. Maybe we'll have a guest with us. I might pull in an old cast member, like I said.
All
Otherwise,
right.
it'll be Vee, Krista-Lee, and I chatting about a topic that, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not exactly sure which one it's going to be yet. It was maybe ISS. It was maybe, well, there's a couple different things. But anyway, we'll talk about it next week.
Maybe one less dog echo chamber.
The dogs are giving up out there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, guys, we'll see you next week. Jake, they can catch you on the newscast on YouTube this Tuesday.
Yep.
Later, everybody.